Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hannes Lepp, and I work at the Estonian Information System Authority. And I'm working as once only technical system architect. So I would like to, Frederick, thank you for for this invitation and for the opportunity to introduce our system. Once only technical system is not very widely known yet. So in this presentation, I will explain the problem that once only technical system is trying to solve and show some practical cross-border use cases. I will introduce SDG and OOTS initiatives and go through the provider and requester flow. And I will explain the main architectural components and show how Estonia has integrated X-Road with OOTS ecosystem. So I will start with a few practical examples that explain the need for this kind of system. So across the European Union, many people live, study, and work in different countries, and they need access to cross-border administrative procedures. Here are some real-life examples that describe the situation and explain why European Union created SDG and OOTS initiative. So the first simple example where cross-border data exchange is needed is where Estonian citizens goes to study at the university in Spain and needs to provide their secondary education diploma. And the second example is where Estonian citizens move to Germany, and German authority asks him to provide a birth certificate and proof of family status. And here is also the third example, bit more complicated, where Estonian citizens has lived and worked in several EU countries and now returns to Estonia to work as qualified nurse. So she needs to provide documents providing her professional work experiences from other countries. So this real-life situation still can create a significant administrative burden for our citizens and businesses. So the examples or real-life situation described in the previous slide are the reason why European Union introduced the Single Digital Gateway initiative, as we shortly say SDG. And the goal of SDG is to make it easier for citizens and businesses to complete administrative procedure across border. So it's very important to mention here that SDG requires that this procedure has to be available online. So SDG also requires that user must be able to complete this procedure cross-border. So SDG is essentially a legal and service framework. One important idea behind the SDG is the once only principle. The idea is that citizens and businesses should not have to submit the same documents or evidences repeatedly to public authorities. And this principle is what led to creation of once only technical system, or OOTS. So in the very core of OOTS are two very important concepts, procedure and requirements. Firstly, the procedure are administrative services that citizens and businesses needs to complete. Here are some examples of procedure as well. For example, applying for university or registering business or applying for social benefits. And secondly, requirements are conditions or proofs that must be fulfilled in order to complete procedure. So one procedure may need multiple requirements to be fulfilled, and procedure and requirements are in the one-to-many relationships. For example, procedure may require a diploma and a birth certificate and a proof of professional qualification. So let's see how the system works in principle. On this diagram is presented a provider flow. This is where another EU member state requests evidence from Estonia. And OOTS, or once only technical system, involves two main parties. One is the requester and another is provider. So here the red components are other member state OOTS components like procedure portal, intermediary platform, and access points. On the left side, green and blue components represent Estonian info systems like also intermediary platform, evidence preview space, and access point also. And the blue component is the Estonian competent authority or evidence provider, for example, some Estonian registry. And these are the main parties that interact together in OOTS. So user starts his journey in procedure portal and is guided through the process using OOTS. So to retrieve evidence, the user is forwarded to the Estonian intermediary platform. The intermediary platform then requests the evidence from competent authority. And this is where X-Road comes into the play. All Estonian competent authorities are connected through X-Road. And competent authorities must implement only one X-Road service to connect with OOTS. So if a user has evidence in Estonian register, then user can review evidence in the preview space and send back to the requesting country. So in general, OOTS has two main user flows. The first is provider flow, shown here, where Estonia provides evidence to another member state. And the second is the requester flow, where Estonia requests information, evidences or data from another member state. And the requester flow is shown on the next slide. So requester flow is essentially the same process as provider flow, but it's mirrored. In this case, Estonia requests evidences from another member state. And let's go briefly through the main components that are used in one only technical system. So the main components are procedure portal. They are basically e-government environments where users start and complete their administrative procedures. There is a X-Road connector that connects procedure portal and the Estonian intermediary platform. And inside Estonia, all data exchange and service calls goes through the X-Road. There is also AS4 protocol and of course e-delivery access points. They are used for exchange messages between member states. So in Estonia, we are using Harmony access point, which is provided by NIS, and it's based on Domibus. There are also ADAS nodes that are used for cross-border authentication. And for simplicity, they are not shown directly on this diagram. And the blue cloud in the middle represents European Commission common services. In the common services, EU member states define their procedure and requirements. And evidence location across Europe also are defined there. So all these components together implement the OOTS and enables cross-border evidence exchange within European Union. For Estonian institutions, the intermediary platform and X-Road ecosystem, they are hiding most of the technical complexity of OOTS and makes integration simpler. So why is X-Road important here? X-Road reduces integration complexity and allows connecting to OOTS with minimal changes to existing systems. So in practice, this means faster onboarding and lower technical effort for Estonian authorities and procedure portal. So the cross-border connection, don't use X-Road. They are done using the AS4 protocol. And AS4 is not directly compatible with the X-Road. So how do we connect those two very different technologies? So the Estonian intermediary platform is basically as a bridge between these two technologies. On one side, we have e-delivery, which is designed for exchanging AS4-based messages between member states. And on the other side, we have X-Road, which is optimized for real-time services. So the role of the intermediary platform is to connect these two worlds together. On one hand, the intermediary platform translate and orchestrate the communication so that the Estonian information systems can continue using their familiar X-Road. And on the other hand, to be connected with the European ecosystem. And this is basically it. So I hope this short presentation gave simple but still comprehensive overview of how Estonian X-Road and once only technical system are connected. And I would like to thank you for your attention and interest. If you have